the series result 2-1 for Afghanistan. Good call, that.
And I got a bit lucky, but remember sometimes we spoke about we always make it a slow start and we're fighting back in the series. So
Oh,
this
I
was
should have
another one.
known better.
I was thinking the other day, I know I said Rashid Khan will play and the back end will lose a game, but it happened at the start.
Yeah, once
That's
again,
right.
we got the team combinations wrong. And yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know why they kept Dushmantha in the bench for the first one day. Oh, anyway.
Yeah. 2 days of rest to recover from a 3-year injury when he's been playing
Oh,
cricket for so long. So,
it's always the first game of the series. Yeah.
someone comes up with that smart theory, like he's not match fit ready, and give him 2 days and he's match fit to play the second game. So, I mean, I'm just trying to think what's the logic and
Yeah,
then
yeah. All right. When you're ready.
jump in. A lot of things to cover.
Yeah, all right.
We're recording on Ashes Eve with us, so
Yeah, yeah.
should be a good summer of cricket in England that we'll be following. So
We'll
keep
get,
an eye out on that.
yeah, a lot to talk about. It's been like 2 weeks since we recorded the last episode.
Yeah.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to Sri Lankan Cricket Podcast. A lot happened since our last episode. Bora called 2-1 for Sri Lanka, and he was right. And after that, Sri Lanka left to Zimbabwe to play in the qualifiers. They had some hotel trouble as well. They had to wait for a couple of hours to get their rooms. And yeah, they played a couple of practice games. And lastly, LPL auction happened. First time in Sri Lanka.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to talk about. So maybe let's start with Afghanistan tour, Bora. You called it 2-1. Good call that. I
Yeah.
should have known better.
I think the teams are pretty even to for Sri Lanka to dominate and win a series against Afghanistan. I think that era's gone. We were fighting to be on top. So, and playing at home, we generally, the pattern has been slow starts to series. So this pretty much took over that similar pattern, and then we came back to get. It's a good result. We managed to win the series. So
Remember, I called for Dimut to make 200s. He ended up scoring 2 half centuries. Not a bad effort from Dimut. His strike rate was getting better. Good to see Dushmantha back and firing all cylinders, Bora. It's nothing
yeah,
like seeing a fast bowler bowling full tilt. Just after IPL final, a lot of hype about Matisha Patiruna's inclusion to the squad, but he he didn't deliver in that first game, and they left him out of the team for the next couple of games.
yeah. I'm not sure how that works, especially with a guy who gets a good run, performs. He just had a off game. Could be, I mean, we talked about the win out in Hambantota, might have played a factor. Nerves play representing your country, wanting to perform. A lot of things ended up not being able to be on top. I would have given him a run, not given him just one game for his debut and put him aside, especially when you take him out into World Cup qualifiers. But there were some strange decisions of trying to find out the players.
Mm.
For example, Dushan Hemant also played one game and didn't play the rest of the series. You got to bear in mind at this point of time, we had South Africa A in Sri Lanka playing against the Sri Lanka A team. So not a lot of series schedules like this happen together where you have your national team and the A team playing at the same time. Could
Yeah.
we have then given these guys a proper run in the Sri Lanka A team if for them to get match ready?
Mm.
We could have been a bit more smarter. Like if Dushan he wanted to see is he ready for international cricket and give him just one game against Afghanistan, you might as well give it against it looked like a strong, like a good South African A team that has toured here. You
Mm.
would have played him against them and got him that exposure. So what happened was he played one game and was, bench warming,
Mm.
carrying the drinks when there's a series against South Africa A happening when he could have played. So things like that. I just think, I don't know, selectors, coaches from both teams, from the national to the A team, should have said, look, how can we make use of this squad so that you play what is the best. It's like in over here we have our in club cricket here we have ones and twos playing at the same time, and then you work
Yeah.
out how to go about it. So
Yeah, you're right. Talking about people warming the benches, Angelo Matthews played only one game and then left out of the squad for the World Cup qualifiers. I was just checking a tweet from Turunu Jayasiri. He posts a lot of good stats on Twitter, where I feel if you want to check, he's someone you should follow because he's got some good stats on Sri Lanka cricket. So one day stats as number 5 batter, NG has played 87 innings and scored 3,116 runs at 51, 24 50s and 200s. He's the best among Sri Lankans. Last time he batted at number 5 batsman more than 3 years ago. So he's batting out of position and he's out of the team. So, but once again, you got Dimuth in the team as well. So you can't really entertain two of them in the teams. Maybe Dimuth scored 250s. He's got a seat in the plane. So
Dimuth got the momentum behind him to get the
yeah,
seat in the coming into the series. So that made him, I think, tip the scales. Also, Sadira grabbed his opportunity. He's always been a good player
absolutely.
with
Yeah.
limited chances. So he came in, he always bats freely. So I think he's kind of secured that number to bat through the middle.
Hmm.
Which meant you're right, we can't have a lot of seniors in the plane, but you never know. I mean, this is qualifiers. If we get through this, get into the Sri Lanka, into the World Cup stage,
Yeah.
there may be a shuffle of players happening as well, something to consider.
Yeah. I'm sending you the list of the squad from the auction, Bora.
Yeah,
Because let's move on to LPL auction. First time the auction happened in the LPL, which is a good thing. Every
yeah,
team had $500,000 to spend on players, and the players get a 3-year contract, which is a good thing. Remember, we always talked about LPL. We doubt whether it will happen every year. So contracts for 3 years.
yeah,
That's a good commitment from the team owners and SLC. So which is
yeah.
good for players, good for Sri Lanka cricket. So if you look at the squads, Bora,
I'm a strong, not a strong. I follow Jaffna Kings.
yeah,
We watched the auction live first couple of hours. Was run well. I think a lot of first time experience for everyone involved. A little
mm,
bit of learning, like even like I'll share my experience watching the auction here was um, what Jaffna Kings went hard at the start with a lot of the Sri Lankan players that
yeah,
were announced. They went hard at Dhananjaya and Dunit Velalage. I
yeah.
think they managed to get even Vijayakant.
Vijaykanth,
Um,
yeah,
yeah, they used the right to match card, which was I found it very interesting because they had the right to match card, but they kept
yeah,
bidding for the player.
yeah,
They could have just waited without bidding and then gotten it back. So, but I think bit of confusion, but ended up getting their player back.
yeah.
And then I think Dilshan Madhusank, I didn't watch that auction, but he ended up becoming the highest
He went for
paid player in the
$92,000.
auction. But so when this was happening, the first 10 or 20 minutes, they picked up Dhananjaya,
Yeah, he went for yeah,
it, and I think they picked up one more player. I just can't remember who it is, but that meant they've used their purse. So I was thinking, hang on, they've used all their money.
mm,
They'll struggle to get a team up. But then when you do the calculation, they've actually been very smart
very
because
smart.
getting
Yeah,
you proven domestic players, Sri Lankan players,
yeah.
adds quality. You don't have to depend solely on the overseas
Overseas,
players.
yeah,
They've pretty much the blueprint of your CSKs, Mumbai
yeah.
Indians, where you have your domestic performers doing well. So I think if you look at um, the teams that picked up, I think Jaffna would come out of the auction pretty happy with that. I think Candy did well as well. They picked up some good picks. The others, I think, had room to improve. I'm not sure why they didn't go hard at some of the Sri Lankan players to pick them, especially in a tournament like this where we don't attract a lot of overseas performers, like proven performers. Then we could have looked after the local players. But with something I noticed with the teams were some of the players we played together are now in coaching or management positions in those franchises.
Yeah.
Colombo Strikers, I didn't see any known faces, so I'm not sure who's the coach or who's running that. So the other teams had a bit more familiar or players who've been involved with the game prior. So
Colombo strikers mainly if you look at their overseas players, they got Babar Azam, Nazim Shah, Wahab Riaz, Iftikhar Ahmed, Lachlan Tucker, and Mohammad Nawaz. So lots of Pakistani players in that
there
squad.
might be a Pakistan owner involved,
Yeah,
but a few
possible.
NCC boys involved with Colombo
Yeah, Dick
Strikers.
Weller.
We've got 4 players from memory: Anjelo,
Yeah.
Lahirudar, Dick
Yep.
Weller, and I think there was one more. I can't remember who that other person was.
Yeah.
But
Chavika.
yeah, and Patum Nisanka.
Patum Nisanka. Yeah.
So a few NCC boys there. Don't know. Again, early stages, just on paper, seeing the teams. I think Jaffna's done well there. They've looked after a few of the army boys as well. They've picked up Asela Ratna
Which is
into
a
their
good,
setup.
which
It's
is a
a
good,
smart.
good, smart pick that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you look at their overseas players, Bora, they got Gurbas, David Miller, Shoaib Malik,
Yeah.
Hardis Villion, Zaman Khan, and Chris Lynn. So
Yeah.
pretty good lineup there. So
They have a flexible squad.
mm,
I think there's a bit of uncertainty around maybe Shoaib Malik because his name was involved with the Canadian T20 as well, which goes
yep.
along at the same time. So even at the auction, Wasim Akram asked a question where he asked, look, are all overseas players available?
Yeah.
And what they said was, the response back was, look, if they've put their name down, we assume them to be available for the tournament. So I think there's a bit of a cloud around that one.
No, it's good. Good to see some local talent get some value.
Yeah.
When this was on, Sri Lanka team was playing a game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure they must have been very curious in that dressing room, wondering what's happening back home in Sri Lanka. Yeah, 3 years, that's a good commitment. So that means it's gonna, these players, they get a contract for 3 years.
Yeah.
That's good, but I mean, good pay for 2 weeks. But next step is Bora, maybe give some assurance to the first class cricketers as well, so give them some confidence to play and give everything for 2-3 years, because we know for a fact that most Sri Lankan first class cricketers now they think about plan B. I mean, when you think about plan B, do you give 100% to your plan A? The best years of Sri Lanka cricket, we had players giving their 100% to plan A. They were not thinking about a plan B. So that Sri Lanka cricket benefited from that, because they can just pick a team. They had 10 players to replace one player. So that is something we have to think. I mean, this is a good start. This will bring some money to spend in other areas. So that's what we need.
I think a lot of new owners involved, so hopefully they'll be involved with the franchises over the years. The IPG, I think, is the
the
tournament
broadcaster.
directors or the holders, so they're making an effort to make the game popular, the tournament popular out there. So, which is, I mean, it's a good payout for some of the Sri Lankan cricketers involved, and I think that's the flow-on effect you need into the first class structure as well now to support that. So players can be involved with the game and produce results that Sri Lanka needs to support their national setup.
You mentioned about officials, coaches, and managers. You see,
Yeah,
you see a lot of familiar faces there.
yeah,
Sanat Jayasuriya, Avishka Gunawardena, and
yeah,
you got you got Kapu, and you got Kaushal Gajasingh there.
yeah.
Yeah, there's
Gihan Singer was involved,
there you go.
left
Yeah,
hand other batsman, Muba Kanda were in the
yeah,
Jaffna team.
Mario, Sachit Patirana. So there's a lot of young
Yeah,
talent in the coaching setup as well. So which keep
yeah.
things interesting. I mean, it's something we're going to keep a closer eye on and keep you updated. We make sure we follow everything and bring all the news about LPL. Let's quickly move on to the qualifiers, Bora. We played 2 games and we won them both, but we shouldn't have any trouble come
Yeah.
out top in these qualifiers.
I think take in Sri Lanka, the setup, the professional setup we have, the amount that the guys commit to training, and the game, the time involved in the game compared to all other countries that are playing the qualifiers. So I think that on its own should stand alone for us to perform on top and get away. What will bring the game into, um, I think, scenario where it might get tight could be on, poor shot selections or just maybe a poor pitch that we kind of play that the teams get even. But I reckon we are still strong enough to push through that. Um, like teams like this, you take almost got to take the punt and play Matisha Patirana in games like this, because if he doesn't come off, you have bowlers to cover him. But
Yeah.
if it comes off, he'll run through and attack because of his unique action. And the teams that we're going to play are going to struggle to face
Hmm.
that type of bowling. But the thing is, will they take that punt and play him?
Well, we'll find out.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. The news came out about SLC denying NOCs to few players
yeah.
who were meant to go and play in the major league in America.
Hmm.
Yeah, so they denied NOCs for Dasun and Wanindu, and they're gonna limit players to play only 2 foreign leagues.
Yeah.
So don't know how this is gonna
It's a bit
go.
of a unique It's a
Hmm.
bit of a unique one, especially if you have one format players. So if it's T20 one
Yeah.
format players, how do you limit them for 2 tournaments a year? Yeah, I'm just trying to think, do how many players will play more than 2 tournaments as well? That's also, we got to factor that in. Probably Vanidu, Dasun, Bhanuka Rajapaksa, maybe Matisha Patirana, and Mahesh Theekshana. Those guys will be your first choice picks going into more than 2 franchise tournaments. Like I could, on the onset, we know IPL's there. Bangladesh BPL would be one, and Dubai T20, that'll be three. Caribbean Premier
Hmm.
League four. Those are the ones these guys will get attracted to. So how do you limit them? So, because especially now with IPL teams owning franchises around different countries, they'll want the likes of your Mahesh Theekshanas, Matish Patiranas to be involved.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
like for example, Rashid Khan, I think Rashid Khan's finding an avenue to be part of the Mumbai Indian setups because he's now playing for the Mumbai Indians franchise in the USA T20 tournament. So if he's Rashid Khan, if he gets into that tournament and they draft him into Mumbai Indians, that's his next 3 4 years sorted.
Yeah. I think for you'll find players who are coming towards the end of their careers, they will
Yeah,
select T20 leagues over country. Just like Messi selected Miami as his next club.
yeah,
The players who are in their fringe and who are young, they'll still want to play their best cricket, right? So I
yeah,
think you mentioned it in the earlier episode. I think they will listen to the SLC and play our 2 leagues, the T10,
mm,
proposed T10 and the LPL, and play in 2 other leagues. But all these with all the players who, as you said, like specialize in T20, I think they will
Yeah,
be free agents and say, no, we're gonna play and play everywhere and earn some money. It'll be
yeah,
interesting to see how they react to this because there's enough leagues around. So it's not like 5, 6 years ago where you don't have enough cricket to be in form. So you have to play in
yeah.
domestic cricket.
Hmm.
Think it's not there anymore. There's enough and more leagues where you can go and play cricket, and so
Yeah,
that you're always playing. And if you're out of form,
yeah.
it's a matter of playing another league and getting getting form. What do you think? I think that will be the trend to come.
I think that's a fair call. And looking back at Sri Lanka cricket, there's no off season now. They're playing cricket throughout the year. There's
Yeah.
the National Super League, Club Cricket, the T20 that's going to open up. So for players, there's a lot of avenues to play, but we can't just close it off for the modern day player. You need to allow them to go out and play because it's only going to benefit the setup once they come back. They're getting exposed into those sectors. So, but you're right. I think that's a modern trend. You're gonna see people who are at the back end of their careers wanting to explore more opportunities while their national duties drop down. For example, few of the national players in the back end, like an Anjelo Matthews, now slowly his number of games or what he's playing is limited now. He's probably more now a test match
Yes,
player
matches.
becomes a choice. Every other thing he's not there in the reckoning. So, but he's still a good enough player to go around the world and play.
So he's got 11 test matches in the next test cycle, bro.
Yeah,
That's it. So that's
yeah,
55 days of international cricket
yeah,
for 2 years.
yeah.
Plus, let's say you leave 4 weeks of a year for LPL and stuff. That's not enough
Nah.
for him. Is he going to be the Messi who take the decision and just say, "No, I'm gonna go and play whatever is out there." He might be
Yeah.
the one. It's be-
Interesting.
yeah, I think that's about it. Unless you have anything else to add.
Nah. Oops.
Yeah, we'll keep a close eye on the qualifiers. I mean, the main tournament. We'll keep you updated and we'll have a chat about those games.
Hopefully, we'll have some results to walk through when Sri Lanka plays the qualifiers. Some good results to talk through. Few players that have, stood out. But keep listening, guys. There's a lot of cricket happening in the coming few weeks. So
Mhm.
look to catch up and discuss more about it.
All right. Thank you for listening. We'll talk to you soon.